Hi, welcome to the CrafteeManatee. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Red Heart Granny All-in-One Square yarn. Before we get started, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more crochet patterns and tutorials, and share this video with a friend who you think might like learning about this yarn. This video is not sponsored at all. I just want to share my honest opinions on the Red Heart Granny All-in-One Square yarn. I picked up this yarn a couple months ago when I was in a Joann's. I actually had never heard about this yarn before. I know it has been out for a while, but it was on an end cap display at the Joann's I went into, and I was immediately obsessed with it. All of the different color combinations looked so pretty, and I hadn't worked many granny square projects recently, so I wasn't really in the market for a granny square yarn, but it just looked so pretty, and this color specifically caught my eye, so I went ahead and picked it up. And I'm going to talk to you about what my thoughts are on the Red Heart All-in-One Square yarn. First off, the affordability of this yarn is fantastic. That goes for most of Red Heart's yarn in general. It is a very affordable yarn brand, and this yarn, in my opinion, is no exception. I looked online, and the most average price for this yarn seems to be about $8. I did buy 3 more balls of yarn, which might be a spoiler of how much I do love this yarn. But I did pick up 3 more balls on Amazon in a pack, and that was about $18. So for the amount of yarn you get, it is very affordable. As you can see on the packaging, each ball is about 417 yards, which is really a good size yarn ball. And each ball does make 14 granny squares. And it does show you that each granny square is 6 inches by 6 inches. And so that is a pretty decent sized granny square. And you do get 14 out of each ball. But I will say it's really at least 14 because I have worked through an entire ball of this yarn already, and I got 15 squares, so that is 1 extra square of what it promises you here. I don't know if that is the same in every ball of this yarn, but that is reassuring that you are going to get at least 14, if not more than that, granny squares out of just 1 ball of yarn. Like I mentioned, one of the things that really sold me on this yarn was the color combination. So I did get it in the color Espresso, and it's this really pretty brown to cream to black yarn color combination, but they had a ton of different colors, and I've only gotten it in this espresso color, and I have loved every single ball that I've gotten so far. But I am interested in getting another color combination to try it out. I would love to work with some of the brighter yarn colors that they have to offer. So there is definitely a color combination for anyone in this yarn collection. There are brights and more neutrals like this one. So really, whatever your style is, you are probably going to find a granny square yarn that you like. Here is what a finished granny square looks like in the color Espresso. It's just so pretty to me. It has this light color, and then it goes into some darker colors ending in black. So this is the Espresso colorway. As you can see, this is where I changed colors. It's a little bit visible, just like any granny square would be in these seams, but I do like to just squeeze those together. I hadn't done that yet on this granny square, and that does hide where the color change happens a little bit. But as you can see, it really is quite seamless once you get a hang for how to line up where the color change needs to go, which I will show you a tip for later in the video. But it is a very seamless color change. It's very nice, and there are not very many yarn tails to weave in. Another great thing about this yarn is that it has a tutorial on the underside of the packaging for how to work a granny square. So this is great for beginners, or if you need a refresher like I honestly did. I hadn't worked a granny square project in quite a while whenever I picked up this yarn. And so if you just cut this yarn packaging off, there is a tutorial on the inside for how to make a granny square, and there's also a free pattern on the inside for a granny square vest, which is really cute. As for some negatives about this yarn, I will say that it is not the softest yarn to work with, and that does go for a lot of the Red Heart Super Saver type yarns that I've tried. If you have worked with Red Heart Super Saver, that's a very common yarn. It feels exactly like that. It's a little bit more stiff, but I have heard that if you wash this type of yarn continuously, like give it a few washes in the washing machine or hand washing, it will soften up. I haven't tried it, but definitely if you are feeling like it's too rough, you can give that a go. I personally don't mind it for different projects. I might not use this for a very soft baby blanket unless I'm able to wash it to get it very, very soft. But that's just personal preference, to be honest. It is still a very good quality of yarn. The next downside of this yarn is actually the same reason that makes it such a great and unique yarn, and that is the color changes. So of course, this yarn doesn't require you to change colors on your own during your granny square, which is great because I know a lot of crocheters do not enjoy weaving in ends at the end of their project. I'm definitely one of those people. It is the thing I dread the most. And with granny squares, if you are changing colors multiple times, you're going to have a lot of yarn tails to weave in at the end of your project. And with this yarn, you only have 2 yarn tails at the end of your project, the starting yarn tail and the ending yarn tail, which is fantastic. But the color changes can be tricky. I have had a bit of a learning curve with this yarn, trying to keep my tension consistent, and honestly, this yarn has taught me that I have terrible tension. It's not noticeable in my project where stitches are too loose or too tight, but the color changes don't always happen where they're supposed to happen. So that is actually something that's really nice. It has taught me how to deal with my tension a little bit better. So if you are a beginner, this might actually be a good yarn to try because it's going to make sure that your tension is the same throughout your project because the colors will have to line up. But I'm going to go ahead and show you a tip that I have been using to get those colors to line up when you want them to change colors. Here's an example of what I mean by that color change not always aligning up to where you want it to be. So I just went ahead and started a granny square. This is our first round. But as you can see, I'm not done with that first round. And here's the color change already happening in the yarn. So if I were to continue like this, I still need to work 1 more double crochet. It's going to be in brown instead of in cream. And now this might not bother you if you don't care how messy your color changes might look, but this was driving me crazy because I want it to line up perfectly. So you could, I guess, in an ideal world, I would completely unravel this and get my tension right to get it to line up. But that was also driving me crazy because I learned that my tension is not great. But that's okay. So what I've been doing is if it's really close like that, like I just have 1 more double crochet stitch that I need to work and then I'm done with the round, I'm just going to pull back. I'm just going to stay until right here. And I'm just going to tighten up my tension on this last little bit and see if that works. So I'm just going to crochet a lot tighter than I did in the previous time that I had worked this. And we're going to see if it gets the color change to where it needs to be. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and I have to go back further, but let's just see what this is working with. And there we go. We got that second crochet stitch that we needed, and now the color has changed. So that is a good place for the color change to happen. I'm just going to work a slip stitch. If I were being too picky and I didn't like that slip stitch being in that color, let's say I was, I might just go back into this last stitch that I made and work it even tighter. Now I know that this is not advice that everyone would want to take because you might really want your attention to look perfect throughout your project. But I find that once the granny squares worked, a couple tight stitches here and there was not bothering me as much as this color change difference was bothering me. But now you can see that for round 2, we are lined up and ready to go with that brown yarn. So that's what I did personally, was just rip back some of those stitches and then rework it tighter or looser. Sometimes I was ending up with too much of a color left over, but that's really just user error, and that is the biggest complaint I have with this yarn, and it's really just all my fault, not the yarn's fault at all. But if you're having similar issues, I thought I would show you how you can kind of resolve that along the way. So overall, I do really love this yarn. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I had picked up that original yarn ball at Joann's when I went in a couple months ago. And then shortly after that, I bought 3 more balls of the same color on Amazon because I decided I wanted to make a cardigan out of this yarn. So I actually have already made a cardigan. So I have worked a ton of these granny squares. All through crocheting my cardigan, I have really continued to like this yarn, and I am excited to pick it up in other colors and maybe make some other granny square projects in the future. I'm also going to have a video up posted soon of that granny square cardigan using this yarn, so keep an eye out for that. It is turning out really cute. It just needs a few more finishing touches, but it is looking really pretty right now, and I cannot wait to share that cardigan video with you guys. So go ahead and pick up some of this yarn in preparation for the next video to come of making that granny square cardigan. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed learning more about the Red Heart Granny all-in-one square yarn. If you did like today's video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more patterns and tutorials to come. You can also find all of my other patterns on Ravelry, Rippler, and Etsy. Thanks for watching. Bye.